Major weather alert. North America faces multiple severe weather threats. January 7, 2026. Comprehensive weather update breaking. Critical weather patterns develop across USA and Canada. Good day, weather watchers. This is Skylert USA, bringing you an urgent and comprehensive weather update for January 7, 2026. We are currently tracking several significant weather systems that are impacting millions of people across the United States and Canada, with conditions ranging from life-threatening Arctic cold to severe thunderstorm risks and major flooding concerns. Its current weather situation. January 7, 2026. Today marks a critical turning point in North America's winter weather pattern. A disrupted polar vortex is driving unprecedented weather extremes from coast to coast, creating one of the most complex and dangerous weather scenarios we've seen this winter season. The western United States. Flooding crisis intensifies. Northern California continues to face a critical flooding emergency as powerful atmospheric river storms pound the region. This is the first major storm system of 2026, and it's proving to be a significant event. San Diego experienced historic rainfall at the start of the year, recording over 2.46 inches of rain, ranking among the 15 rainiest days on record for the city. Roads were flooded, vehicles became stranded, and dangerous conditions persisted as drivers attempted to navigate through high water. The current system is bringing between 2 to 4 inches of rain along most of the California coast north of Los Angeles, with locally higher amounts expected. The lower west-facing slopes of the northern Sierra Nevada are forecast to receive a staggering 4 to 8 inches of rain, with isolated areas potentially seeing up to 12 inches. Even California's Central Valley, including Sacramento, will experience a significant soaking with 2 to 4 inches expected. Storm warnings remain in effect for the Oregon Cascades and eastern Washington Cascades, where heavy mountain snow is creating treacherous travel conditions. The freezing levels are plunging, and feet of snow are piling up in the high country. Travel over critical mountain passes, including Donner Pass, may face complete shutdowns due to the extreme conditions. This will significantly impact interstate commerce and travel between California and Nevada. Thunderstorms developing in these moisture-rich environments may become locally severe, capable of producing powerful wind gusts, small hail, and even brief tornadoes through the weekend. Flash flooding remains a significant concern for urban areas. Low-lying drainage zones and small streams that flow out of the mountains in northern and central California. The Mountain West. High wind warnings. Wyoming is experiencing extremely windy conditions today. A high wind warning remains in effect for Glen Rock until 11 a.m., with wind gusts reaching as high as 50 miles per hour. Casper is seeing partly sunny but windy conditions with gusts up to 46 miles per hour and temperatures near 48 degrees. These powerful winds are creating hazardous driving conditions, especially for high-profile vehicles, and pose a risk of property damage and power outages. Jackson is under a winter weather advisory until 5 p.m., with up to 2 inches of snow expected and breezy conditions, with wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park faces more severe conditions, with up to 5 inches of snow and wind gusts reaching 26 miles per hour. Winter weather advisories and warnings are scattered across the region as multiple weather systems interact. Canada. Blizzard conditions and extreme cold. Our neighbors to the north are facing some of the most severe winter conditions of the season. The first major blizzard of 2026 has shut down much of Newfoundland and Labrador's capital. Residents woke up to knee-deep snowdrifts on Monday as the storm howled outside their windows. Eastern Newfoundland, particularly areas around Green Bay and White Bay, experienced between 40 to 60 centimeters of heavy, wet snow, combined with winds gusting up to 110 kilometers per hour, creating near-zero visibility and making travel virtually impossible. Ontario and Quebec are dealing with a dangerous mix of freezing rain, blowing snow, and ice pellets. The Ottawa and Montreal areas could see up to 15 millimeters of ice accretion, which is enough to snap tree branches, bring down power lines, and create extremely hazardous road conditions. Southwesterly winds of up to 70 kilometers per hour are compounding the problem, with winds reaching 90 kilometers per hour in Montreal and western parts of the island. Thousands have already been left without power throughout Ontario and Quebec. Northern Ontario communities like Timmins and Sault Ste. Marie are experiencing full blizzard conditions that began Monday and are expected to continue into Tuesday. Snow removal crews have been working around the clock since 2 a.m. with whiteout conditions, couple feet of snow on highways, and extremely dangerous travel conditions. 3 provinces are under widespread advisories for blowing snow, poor visibility, and dangerous driving conditions. Manitoba's Churchill faces a blizzard warning with wind gusts up to 90 km per hour. Northeastern areas, including Broche, Leaf Rapids, Lynn Lake, and Pukatawagan, are under extreme cold warnings with wind chill values between 45 and -50. At these temperatures, frostbite can develop within minutes on exposed skin. The extreme cold extends into the territories. The Northwest Territories' North Slave region, including communities like Wekwiti, Wati, and Betchiko, face wind chill values near -50. Parts of Yukon are experiencing temperatures dropping to near -50 degrees Celsius, making this one of the coldest air masses to impact the region this season. The polar vortex disruption. Understanding the bigger picture. What we're witnessing is the result of a significant stratospheric warming event that has disrupted the polar vortex. This is not just meteorological jargon, it's the key to understanding why we're seeing such extreme and persistent cold across much of North America. The polar vortex is a large area of low pressure and cold air that normally sits over the Arctic during winter. It's kept in place by strong winds that circle the pole in the stratosphere, about 10 to 30 miles above the Earth's surface. When this vortex is strong and stable, the cold air stays confined to the polar regions. However, when the vortex weakens or becomes disrupted, as is happening now, the Arctic air can spill southward into the mid-latitude. Temperature anomalies in the mid-stratosphere are currently 20 to 30 degrees Celsius above normal over the polar regions. This warming has pushed the cold core of the vortex toward the United States and Canada, creating a direct cold air corridor from southern Canada into the northern, central, and eastern United States. The forecast models show this disrupted structure with a deformed core and potential cold legs reaching into both the United States and Europe. This atmospheric setup typically leads to prolonged periods of cold weather and increased storminess. It's why we're seeing temperatures well below normal across large portions of North America, and why this pattern is expected to persist throughout much of January. 3-day forecast. What to expect Wednesday, January 8, 2026. 2. The severe weather threat escalates significantly on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. A powerful storm system will develop over the southern plains, bringing a significant severe thunderstorm risk to parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and southern Missouri. The Storm Prediction Center has outlined an area where strong to locally severe storms are possible, with the primary threats being damaging wind gusts, large hail, and potentially a few tornadoes. This same system will bring snow to the northern edge of the precipitation shield, affecting parts of Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. The snow may be heavy at times, creating difficult travel conditions. Meanwhile, the cold air mass over Canada will remain firmly entrenched, with dangerously cold wind chills continuing across the prairie provinces and territories. For California, Wednesday will bring a brief respite from the heaviest rainfall. Those scattered showers will continue, especially in Northern California. Mountain snow will persist above 5,000 feet elevation, adding to already impressive snowpack totals. Thursday, January 9, 2026. Thursday brings the first of 2 back-to-back cross-country storms that will impact much of the nation. This storm will race out of the southwest, bringing rain across the southern plains, including Oklahoma and North Texas. Cities like Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Little Rock should prepare for heavy rainfall and possible thunderstorms. A level 2 out of 5 severe weather risk has been issued for Friday across the lower Mississippi and Tennessee valleys. This includes portions of Missouri, western Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. Major cities in the threat zone include Memphis, Jackson, and Alexandria. These storms could produce damaging wind gusts exceeding 60 miles per hour, large hail up to golf ball size, and several tornadoes, some of which could be strong. The northern stream will bring heavy snow to the upper Midwest on Thursday, with accumulating snow expected across parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan. Lake effect snow will add 2 totals downwind of the Great Lakes, particularly along the eastern shores of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. Canada's Weather will begin to show signs of moderation in southern regions, though northern areas will remain bitterly cold. The freezing rain threat will diminish across Ontario and Quebec as temperatures rise above freezing. But this will be replaced by rain and potential flooding concerns as the substantial ice and snow begins to melt. Friday, January 10, 2026. The second cross-country storm will develop Friday, once again emerging from the Four Corners region and tracking across the southern United States. This system will bring another round of heavy rain and severe weather to many of the same areas impacted by Thursday's storm. Rain will linger across the southeast Friday morning as this second storm shifts toward the Great Lakes region by afternoon. Gusty winds and snow are expected across Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Illinois, and northern Indiana. The eastern shores of Lakes Erie and Ontario will experience significant lake-effect snow, with some locations potentially seeing over a foot of accumulation. 2. The severe weather threat Friday focuses on the deep south, where a cold front will spark potentially significant severe thunderstorms. The threat area covers the lower Mississippi Valley through the Tennessee Valley, with damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes all possible. Cities like Birmingham, Montgomery, and Baton Rouge should remain weather-aware throughout the day. For the Pacific Northwest, Friday will bring drenching rain with minor flooding concerns, though conditions will be significantly less severe than what Northern California experienced earlier in the week. Snow levels will drop to around 3,000 to 4,000 feet elevation in the Cascades, creating hazardous mountain pass travel. Extended outlook. Second half of January. Looking beyond this 3-day period, the forecast becomes increasingly concerning. The stratospheric warming event's impacts will fully materialize during the second half of January, bringing the highest risk of severe winter weather to Canada, the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. Temperature forecasts for mid to late January show a stable cold air corridor from southern Canada down into the northern, central, and eastern United States. Multiple Arctic air intrusions are expected, with temperatures potentially 15 to 25 degrees below normal for this time of year. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo should prepare for extended periods of sub-zero temperatures with dangerous wind chills. The pattern will favor Alberta Clippers, fast-moving storm systems that develop in Alberta, Canada, and race across the northern United States. These systems typically bring several inches of snow, strong winds, and rapidly falling temperatures in their wake. The Great Lakes region faces an elevated risk of significant lake-effect snow events, as these cold air masses traverse the relatively warm lake waters. For those planning outdoor activities in mid to late January, particularly NFL playoff games in cities like Buffalo, Kansas City, Cleveland, and Green Bay, there's an elevated risk of cold temperatures, snow, and wind. Even Atlanta, which typically remains mild, could experience an unusually cool and wet period if a strong Arctic front penetrates that far south. So, the West Coast will see a transition in its weather pattern. After the active early January period, Pacific storm activity will become more sporadic, though still capable of bringing heavy rain and mountain snow when systems do move through. Flooding concerns will ease in California as the atmospheric river pattern breaks down, but the region will need to remain vigilant as soil moisture remains high. Critical safety information. Extreme cold safety. When wind chill values drop below -40, exposed skin can freeze in less than 10 minutes. If you must go outside in these conditions, cover all exposed skin. Wear multiple layers, including a wind-resistant outer layer where insulated. Waterproof boots. Use a face mask or scarf to protect your face and mouth. Limit time outdoors to the absolute minimum. Watch for signs of frostbite, numbness, white or pale appearance of extremities. Be aware of hypothermia symptoms, shivering, confusion, drowsiness, flooding, and heavy rain. Safety. Never attempt to drive through flooded roads. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock you down, and a foot of water can sweep your vehicle away if flooding occurs. Move to higher ground immediately. Stay away from storm drains and culverts during heavy rain. Be especially cautious at night, when flood dangers are harder to see. Have a battery-powered weather radio to receive flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorm, and tornado safety. Have multiple ways to receive weather warnings. Identify your safe place, a basement or interior room on the lowest floor with no windows if driving. Do not try to outrun a tornado. Seek shelter in a sturdy building immediately. Stay away from windows during severe thunderstorms. If caught outside with no shelter, lie flat in a ditch or low-lying area and cover your head. Winter driving safety. Reduce speed and increase following distance in snow and ice. Brake gently to avoid skidding if roads are ice-covered. Delay travel if possible. Keep an emergency kit in your vehicle, including blankets, food, water, flashlight, and first aid supplies. Ensure your gas tank is at least half full to prevent gas line freeze-up. Travel disruptions. Significant travel disruptions are ongoing and expected to continue. Air travel. Hundreds of flights have been cancelled or delayed at major airports in Montreal, Toronto, London, Ontario, and across the northeastern United States. Check with your airline before heading to the airport. Rail travel. Via Rail has cancelled morning trains on its Quebec City-Windsor route, with afternoon trains coupled together and departing at later times. Highway closures. Multiple highway closures are in effect across Ontario due to whiteout conditions and heavy snow. The Ontario Provincial Police have closed several major routes in western and central regions. Mountain pass closures. Interstate 80 over Donner Pass may face closures due to extreme snow and high winds. Check Caltrans for updates before traveling. Agricultural and economic impacts. This severe weather pattern has significant implications beyond immediate safety concerns. Livestock. Extreme cold poses serious risks to cattle and other livestock. Ensure animals have adequate shelter, unfrozen water, and extra feed. Citrus crops. Freezing temperatures reaching northern Florida threaten citrus crops. Growers are implementing frost protection measures. Energy demand. Extreme cold is driving record heating demand across the Midwest and Northeast, potentially straining electrical grids. Transportation. Supply chain disruptions are likely as severe weather impacts major transportation corridors across the central United States. Historical context. January 2026 is shaping up to be one of the most significant winter weather months in recent years. The combination of a disrupted polar vortex, fading La Niña conditions, and stratospheric warming creates a setup similar to historic cold outbreaks seen in January 2014 and February 2021. However, the current event may prove even more impactful due to its expected duration, potentially lasting through most of January, rather than being a brief cold snap. The early January, California flooding is reminiscent of January 2023's atmospheric river events, though current precipitation totals are running slightly below those extreme levels. Nevertheless, with soil moisture already elevated from December storms, flooding risks remain high even with moderate rainfall. Local impacts. Regional breakdown. Northeast region. The coming days will bring a weather whipsaw effect. Current mild conditions with temperatures in the 40s and 50s will be replaced by Arctic cold by the end of next week. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. should all prepare for a significant temperature drop of 30 to 40 degrees within a 48-hour period. Midwest. This region faces the most prolonged period of severe winter weather. Chicago could see its coldest January since 2014, with multiple days of sub-zero highs possible during the second half of the month. Heavy lake-effect snow will create dangerous travel conditions, downwind of all 5. Great Lakes Southeast. While typically mild, the Southeast faces an elevated tornado threat this week, followed by potential Arctic air intrusions later in January that could bring freezing temperatures as far south as central Florida. Plains. Both severe weather and winter weather threats exist for the plains this week. The northern plains will deal with blizzard conditions and extreme cold, while the southern plains face severe thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes. West Coast California's flood emergency will ease by mid-month, but the Sierra Nevada snowpack will continue building with each system that moves through. This is beneficial for water supply, but creates ongoing avalanche concerns and travel hazards. Canada. The Atlantic provinces, Quebec, Ontario, and the Prairie provinces all face continued severe winter weather through mid-month. British Columbia will alternate between heavy rain on the coast and heavy snow in the interior mountains. Conclusion. January 7, 2026, marks a critical juncture in North America's winter weather story. Multiple dangerous weather scenarios are unfolding simultaneously from coast to coast, requiring heightened awareness and preparation. The disrupted polar vortex ensures this active and extreme weather pattern will persist for at least 2 more weeks. Stay weather-aware, have multiple ways to receive warnings, and take all watches and warnings seriously. This is not the time for complacency. Whether you're dealing with life-threatening cold in Canada, severe flooding in California, or tornado threats in the south, the weather is demanding our attention and respect. For Skylert USA, I'll continue monitoring these dangerous situations and will bring you updates as conditions evolve. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, when severe weather threatens, your safety preparation today could save your life tomorrow. This has been your comprehensive weather update for January 7th, 2026. Make sure to subscribe to Skylert USA for continued coverage of this historic weather pattern and enable notifications so you never miss a critical weather alert. Stay safe out there, everyone.